This is Jordan Peterson on a panel discussing racism. I'm just going to get right into the clip here.
Cricket's Azim Rafiq and footballers still taking the knee. What does this say about racism as a continuing undercurrent in present-day Britain?
I think the same point I made earlier applies, is that things need to be particularized rather than generalized, as a general rule, let's say. And so this cricket player was facing racism by his own account. The question is, who, when, what, exactly? Because otherwise it degenerates into something like a discussion of structural racism. And when it becomes abstracted up to that level, first of all, that pits group against group, which I think is entirely counterproductive. And it actually doesn't address the issue. You know, racism is a global and vague term.
Sorry, but why would you possibly do that? What did that mean?
Because I said it was a global and vague term.
The inverted commas as if it's not a real thing.
No, that isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking. And what I mean by that is we use all these terms frequently in discussions like this that are
He was
containers
called
of undifferentiated content.
He was repeatedly called abusive terms directly linked to his ethnicity.
By who?
By not just one, but repeated members of the Yorkshire Cricket Club. He's had people contacted him. If it walks like a duck, Jordan, talks like a duck, it's a duck. It's racism.
I'm not denying his experience.
Right.
What I asked was exactly who and when, and you just answered that question. So I would say those specific people should be held specifically to account for their actions before any movement up the abstraction hierarchy to a discussion of something like structural racism, which I don't think is helpful.
Well, he has talked about institutional racism in cricket. He says that's what he's experienced as a term, institutional racism.
Right, I know. And like I said, I believe that abstracting up the problem to that level of analysis does no good because it pits groups against groups. I think it exacerbates the problem. The concept of structural racism. It's too imprecise. It doesn't address the issue. Now, that does not mean racism does not exist. That is not what I'm saying.
So I think what he's saying here, if I'm understanding correctly, but he's basically saying, say you're at school and someone's racist towards you. What should happen is that one person should get in trouble, or the consequences of whatever happens from what they're saying should happen to them. But instead what's happening is the racism happens to you and you go and tell the whole world and it blows up into this massive, massive situation when it doesn't need to be. I mean, I'm no expert, so maybe that wasn't what he was saying, but I believe that's what he was saying. And these people, it seems like they don't really agree and they think, oh, this should be a huge deal, which it is a big deal. But if somebody comes over and punches my arm in school, what, they get suspended, that one person. I don't go to a news outlet and be like, this guy punched me, I've been getting punched for years, and make it this huge deal. So I think that's kind of what Jordan's saying here. But I'm just not too sure if everyone else is understanding or agreeing with him. But I don't know. Let me know what you think.